Hi everyone, it's Katrina. Number 10. King Tut's Dagger. One of the most impressive treasures to ever be taken from an Egyptian tomb is the iron dagger of King Tut. Not only is the dagger a truly impressive piece of craftsmanship, but it was also made from a meteorite from outer space. The boy pharaoh Tutankhamun was literally walking around with a space knife during Egypt's 18th dynasty. As you probably already know, King Tutankhamun, aka King Tut, was the son of one of the strangest pharaohs in Egyptian history, Akhenaten, a man who literally looked like a space alien. King Tut ascended the throne at the young age of 8 and wasn't really that important in the grand scheme of Egypt. But when his tomb was opened in the 1920s, there were so many treasures in it that he quickly became famous. A gold burial mask, a coffin made of solid gold, chalices, pieces of furniture, trumpets, and so much treasure it was unbelievable. But let's get back to the knife. Out of the 5,000 artifacts taken from his tomb, only 19 were made of iron. In 2016, when the dagger was subjected to X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, scientists saw huge levels of nickel. The only explanation is that the iron used in the knife's creation came from space. A space rock must have fallen from the sky and become a precious artifact. Then, at some point, a blacksmith was commissioned to turn it into one of the most valuable daggers in history. Number 9. Norfolk Treasure. The largest collection of gold coins from the days of the Anglo-Saxons ever found in England was just discovered in West Norfolk. In total, 131 coins and heaps of gold objects were pulled from the ground. But what's truly amazing is that the items were found between 2014 and 2020 by just one guy. He found them with a metal detector, but wishes to remain anonymous. The amateur archaeologist was given permission by the owner of a large chunk of land to do some digging and exploring. The owner of the land also wishes to remain anonymous. Together, the mysterious duo ended up with a hoard of treasure even bigger than what was found at England's more famous Sutton Hoo site. At Sutton Hoo, there were only 37 coins dug up throughout all the excavations. There were lots of incredible relics, but nothing really in the way of coinage. Now here's where things get weird. There was a second detectorist named David Cockle who joined in on some excavations and found himself 10 coins. He was an active police officer at the time, but was dismissed from his position when he was charged with theft. He failed to report the 10 coins as required by law and tried to sell them for nearly $20,000. Not only did he lose his job, he was sentenced to 16 months in prison. During court proceedings, experts said they believe the coins belonged to a traveling merchant 1,400 years ago. This merchant deliberately buried them in a field, undoubtedly hoping to come back for them later, but he never did. And now the English crown has taken possession of the gold. Number 8. The Lord of Sipan. The Lord of Sipan was the great ruler of the ancient Moche culture in Peru in the 3rd century AD. His royal tomb was discovered by Dr. Walter Alva and his team of researchers in 1987. They found the tomb in an archaeological complex near the city of Chiclayo. The ruler was about 30 years old when he died and was buried in a wooden coffin, along with 2 young women, a dog, and 2 llamas. Clearly, this guy was pretty important. Experts believe the women were buried with him to serve as his consorts in the afterlife. As for the dog, it may have been his beloved pet while he was alive. But besides the people and his pets, when I say the ruler must have been important, that's because of all the treasure that was found in his tomb. He definitely didn't hold back. He was found covered from the tip of his head to the ends of his toes in gold, silver, and precious stones. They had even laid his head on a gold plate. In total, roughly 600 objects of great value were recovered from his tomb. Besides the gold and silver and precious stones, he was also buried with carved wooden objects, pieces of ceramic, turquoise earmuffs, and over 20 necklaces. If you've never heard of the Moche culture, let me give you a quick recap. They emerged around the year 100 AD in northern Peru. They thrived for 700 years and became masters of art and architecture. They even built themselves pretty impressive pyramids. The entire north is covered in ancient tombs, crumbling cities, and hidden treasures from these long-lost people. Number 7. The San Jose Galleon. The wreckage of the San Jose was discovered off the coast of Colombia in 2015, but it has since remained completely untouched ever since its discovery. The government has been trying to work out the rules about who gets what. The reason it's such a big issue is that the galleon is filled with over 200 tons of treasure. It's considered the holy grail of shipwrecks, filled with enough gold and gems to make you one of the richest people in the world. The San Jose was destroyed by the British Navy on June 7, 1708. At the time, it was carrying a massive load of gold, gems, and silver. All this treasure was to be delivered straight to the treasury of King Philip V of Spain. The Spanish colonies in Latin America had just finished stealing all the precious metals from the natives and wanted to send it back home to Europe. When the ship went down, all that treasure was lost with it. In 2015, the Colombian president at the time, Juan Manuel Santos, announced the exact location of the shipwreck. Archaeologists confirmed the ship to be the San Jose, and now we're all sitting here waiting to see what happens. The wreck is at a depth of around 3,000 feet. Recovering the treasure will cost around $70 million. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the galleon. Spain says the wreck belongs to them. An indigenous group in Bolivia says the treasure is theirs, since it was mined by their ancestors and then stolen. It's been 7 years and nobody has touched the treasure yet. Who do you think the treasure belongs to? Spain? Colombia? The salvage company that tried to get it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Number 6. Coins in the mountains. Earlier this year, a mother and her teenage son were on a hike in Moravia, in the eastern part of the Czech Republic, when they came across a mysterious trove of historical silver coins. They weren't out looking for treasure, but they found it anyway. The pair were walking in the forest when they came across a broken clay pot filled with 818 silver coins. The coins may have been made out of silver, but they had been tucked inside a tree stump for so long they had turned green. The mother and her son reported the discovery to the local museum, and archaeologist Samuel Spanahel began to investigate the treasure. Samuel believes the coins were probably part of a hoard from the 17th century. He noticed that they resemble coins minted under the rule of Leopold I of Habsburg. This would only make them about 400 years old, but it's a pretty good discovery. As of now, no one knows where the coins came from or why they were buried under a tree. It's possible they were left there by someone quite wealthy, perhaps someone escaping from conflict who had plans to pick the coins up later. But for whatever reason, they never came back. And since this was in the middle of the forest, maybe they searched but just couldn't find the right tree. Number 5. Egyptian tools of mummification. Just recently, in February of 2022, a hoard of fantastic Egyptian treasures from 2,600 years ago was discovered in the Egyptian city of Abu Sir. But these treasures are a little different. I'm not talking about gold or jewels, but hundreds of embalming tools that have given archaeologists clues as to the lost secrets of mummification. Archaeologists found a total of 370 ceramic jars. They were uncovered in an ancient cemetery's underground shaft. The cemetery was used for burying the most important Egyptian elites in nearby Memphis. The embalming shaft where many of the artifacts were found was almost used as a garbage chute. Any object or tool that came into contact with a body during the mummification process was thrown into one of these shafts and abandoned. Archaeologists now have what one researcher called a cookbook for making mummies. All the tools are there in the ceramic jars, waiting for researchers to sort through them. The discovery was only made about a month ago, so we're still waiting to see the final results. Number 4. Ancient illegal silver extraction. At the beginning of 2022, archaeologists in Britain discovered a huge amount of litharge at Grange Farm. Grange Farm is an excavation site in Kent, once occupied by the Romans. Litharge is a lead oxide and a byproduct of the extraction of silver. What this means is that the Romans were extracting massive amounts of silver here. Experts say this may have been the largest silversmithing site in all of Roman Britain, and it may have been illegal. Grange Farm was occupied as far back as 100 BC. After about 200 years, it grew to be a peaceful Roman settlement. By the 5th century AD, with the destruction of the Roman Empire, it was completely abandoned. It was only recently that archaeologists began investigating what happened here 2,000 years ago. In the 3rd and 4th centuries, Rome functioned on a gold and silver economy. Because you could purchase things with gold and silver, the mining of such materials was done under strict supervision. Archaeologists believe because of how remote the settlement was, they were mining silver illegally. Dr. James Gerard from Newcastle University says the Romans may have been producing their own silver and then turning it into objects to be sold, like solid ingots. The proof came with the excavation of an ancient mausoleum in the city. Researchers found gold jewelry, necklaces, and bracelets made from the finest metals. It seemed almost everyone in the mausoleum was buried with an excessive amount of wealth. It could be the whole city was working together to stick it to the imperial rulers and make themselves filthy rich. To think of it in modern terms, it would have been like if a small town got a hold of a money printing machine. Number 3. Chinese golf balls. In central China, researchers with Pingdingshang University discovered a collection of fascinating ceramic balls. They made the discovery while sorting through their ceramic collection, as the balls had been put in storage and largely forgotten. There are over 1,000 at the university, originally used over 1,100 years ago in an ancient game of golf. The relics have been dated to the Tang Dynasty between 618 and 907. They were originally discovered in ancient kilns used for making porcelain throughout the area at various archaeological sites. The Pingdingshan region was famous for its porcelain handicraft. While other parts of China were making brilliant treasures out of gold and jade, these people were making beautiful ceramics. As for what the balls were for, it was a very primitive version of golf. The ceramic balls would be knocked into holes using really long sticks. The next time you hit the green for a day of golf, remember it all started a millennium ago in China. They used balls made of porcelain that looked almost identical to the golf balls we still use today. Number 2. Treasure in Russia. Archaeologists in Russia found some fantastic treasure in the Suzdal-Opolye region during a survey of a previously unexplored area in a prehistoric settlement. The settlement was built and subsequently abandoned about 2,000 years ago. It was occupied during a period called the Great Nations Migration. This was when the Roman Empire began to fall, and non-Roman tribes like the Goths, Huns, and Franks started warring over Europe. The time that followed involved massive migrations of people all across the ruins of the old empire. Now let's get back to the treasure. In the remains of what was once an agricultural settlement, researchers with the Russian Academy of Sciences discovered deposits of jewelry. They were able to identify the treasures as coming from the Eastern Finns, a historical group of indigenous people living in the Volga region of Russia. They left behind bracelets, tattered pieces of decayed clothing, and over 300 precious beads that were probably used for embroidering. Researchers also found pendants and other miscellaneous treasures inside a box made of birch bark. The experts believe the box of jewelry and artifacts was buried in the central area of the settlement, but they have no idea why. Number 1. Lost Roman treasure. In 2021, a mind-boggling hoard of ancient Roman coins was found in Germany. Over 5,500 silver coins were found buried beside a river. That's an outstanding number of coins. Almost inconceivable. It would have taken a literal treasure chest to haul these things around. Archaeologists say they were buried by this river 1,800 years ago, near what is today the city of Augsburg. At the time the coins were buried, the Roman Empire was at its full strength. Coins from the empire reached all corners of its territory and beyond through extensive trade networks. According to Stefan Kmernisek, a professor of ancient numismatics, the coins are called denarii. They were used as standardized silver denominations up until about the 3rd century AD. And here's where things get mysterious. The coins weren't found in one big pile. They were spread out along the bottom of an old riverbed. Archaeologists believe they hadn't been placed that way, but washed downstream from where they were originally buried. That means there could be even more coins that made it even further down the river and still haven't been found. Nobody knows who buried the coins here. What we do know is that they were likely stashed just outside the city limits of Augusta Vindelicum, the major Roman city in the area from back then. Someone traveling either in or out of the city on the main road took the time to carry them, stash them, and then never went back to get them. Thanks for watching! Which of these amazing treasures would you like to find for yourself? Hoard of ancient Roman coins or Chinese golf balls? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!